Carl Froch, WBA, IBF super middleweight champion, here at the final press conference for your fight with George Groves on Saturday. Great press conference, by the way, but what did you read into Groves' demeanour today?
I read into the fact that he doesn't believe in himself, and for the first time, I don't think he believes himself anyway. I've said before, earlier today in another interview that I've done that. But the one thing that came out of today was, that George Groves talks, and he says stuff for the sake of it. I think it's rehearsed. He tried to bring up some old unsavoury comments that were made before the Kessler fight, which bears no relevance. So he's obviously thought about that before he came in and thought, I'll bring that up. Almost like a school kid snitching to the headmaster that, oh, he did this wrong. Very childish. So what came from it today was, I don't like 1-0 up and 2-0 up at the press conference and, I won the weigh-in and I got the better of it there and he looked away first or whatever. But seeing George Groves today, I think that he knows himself that he's in serious trouble. And I don't think he believes in what he's saying. When he says he's going to beat me and knock me out and hit me with 2 right hands and whatever, all that junk he was talking, he don't believe himself. He doesn't believe in it. So I'm quite happy that, George has made himself again look stupid and give me more confidence than he already had. If I needed any more, I've got even a bit more now.
Is it fair to say he got under your skin at all? And if he has got under your skin, do you think that would impact on your performance on Saturday night?
If I was unprofessional, potentially. Has he got under my skin? Yeah, of course he's got under my skin a little bit. I don't like him now. I really don't like George Groves. I think he's a horrible person. Genuinely horrible. But I'm too experienced to let that affect me. And I've got too much of a good coach in my corner in Robert McCracken. I'm just not going to come out of my game plan's not going to move. It's going to be just concentrating from round 1 through to as long as the fight lasts, doing what I need to do, regardless of how much I don't like George Groves. I'm not going to look at his face when I'm fighting. I look at the gloves. That's what I do anyway. I look at the gloves, see what's coming at me. So as far as I'm concerned, I won't be in front of George Groves. I'll be in front of a world-class operator, and I'll be doing a world-class job, and that'll be more than enough to sort George Groves out.
What's your sparring and preparation been like for this fight? Have you seen yourself, have you been outperforming yourself in this training camp? Because we know how meticulous you are in noting down your runs and your training, etc. How have they compared to, the Kessler fight or previous fights to that?
Yeah, physically I'm there. I'm still there. My runs have been smack on. Sparring's been good. We've toned the sparring down a little bit for this one because I thought I did a little bit too much sparring for the last fight. I felt a little bit jaded going into the Kessler fight. But I threw 1,000 punches in the Kessler fight against a top level operator. So I'm in great shape.
He's picked holes, and so has his trainer, Paddy Fitzpatrick, in some of your losses, both your losses, and a couple of the fights that you won, the Durrell fight and the Taylor fight. Now, he says he can exploit them. He's talked about, Taylor was very good behind the jab against you. Durrell's foot speed and hand speed bothered you a bit. But do you think he's actually good enough to step up and cause you problems with those things as well?
Well, he's talking about Jermaine Taylor and Andre Durrell and Andre Ward, and he's not qualified to even be mentioned in the same breath as these natural, stylistic, gifted, talented boxers. He's not qualified to comment on them sort of fighters. So anything he says about them fighters in comparison to George Groves is totally irrelevant, and I'm not going to give it any credence by talking about it.
And do you think yourself, when you were a younger fighter, calling out Calzaghe, on the way up, trying to get your name out there, can you kind of see where he's coming from, or do you think he's overstepped the mark a bit with this fight?
Well, when I called out Calzaghe, I was WBC number 1. George Groves is IBF number 5. So, there's a big difference there.
Is he not the mandatory for your title?
He's IBF number 5, and he's mandatory by default.
Tell us how you're going to do it on Saturday night. How are you going to beat George Groves?
I'm going to come to the centre of the ring. I'm going to land a double right hand. Then I'm going to get behind the jab. And then in round 3, it's down to you. I think something like that. Something along them lines. I'm just going to box, use my long reach. I've got a couple of inches reach on George. So I'm going to get behind my jab. But every fighter tries to get behind the jab. All boxers want to hit their opponent and not get hit back. So you've got to stand there and throw your jab. Work into it with your jab. Tactically, I'm going to back him up, put him under pressure, and hit him hard and often. That's tactically. But, I've got to react to whatever's coming at me. think it's first law of motion, Newton's first law. Every action causes a reaction. So whatever he does, I will react accordingly to be successful. And the end result will be George Groves getting knocked out, unless he decides to really, really run and hold and jab and grab and go on his back foot like he did against James DeGale. He'll still lose. I'll win the fight if he does that, but it might go 12 rounds. But the chances are, and if I've got to make a prediction, I'll knock George Groves out.
You're coming to the end of a fantastic career, avoided nobody, did everything you said you'd do. You mentioned it last time when we spoke. You're talking about doing full-on Ironmans in either the next year or 2 years' time. I mean, is that going to be a career break, just like next year maybe do one Ironman then go back to boxing, or is that a plan after boxing? That's
probably a plan after boxing, but I do train like an Ironman now. I do a lot of swimming, and I've started to do more swimming now than what I used to do. I love cycling. I want to get out on the bike. I quite enjoy, you can cover a big area in an hour and a half, rather than when you're running, I'm running the same route. So to take pressure off my aging joints, I like a bit of cycling. And the runs I'm doing, I mean, I say my aging joints, my joints are fine. I've had a new knee, actually. I've had my ACL reconstructed in my right knee. My left knee's fine. And when you wear good trainers, you don't really get problems with your joints now, I've found. But I manage everything well, and I'd love to be able to do, there's one in 2014 in Australia. And I wouldn't be able to compete at the level they compete at, because they've been doing it since they were very, very young. But, the athletes on the Ironman, the top ones, are in the mid to late 30s, because it's an endurance and power event. You've got your swimming, and it's a big mental game. You're right. So I'd love to compete in that. It'd be a part-time pastime. I'm not going to win anything, but to complete an Ironman and to finish in the top 50 or whatever, for me, it'd be fantastic, and it'd keep me training, keep me motivated, keep me busy, and keep me in good shape when boxing's finished. So I'll do a bit of training now, and when I finish boxing, we'll see if Rachel lets me out and lets me spend a bit more time away from the kids to do that. She might be like, "No, you finished boxing now. You're stuck at home with me, with the kids." If that's the case, then that's fair enough. But yeah, I'd love to do something like that.
Carl Froch, best of luck for Saturday night, and great talking to you.
Thank you, pleasure.
Cheers, man. Best of luck, man.